Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zed. Today I'm going to be talking about TRCH or Torchlight Energy. Make sure to drop a like to this video to help this channel grow. Subscribe and leave notifications on. Let's jump right into this one. So Torchlight Energy Resources, I'm going to read this quick thing on their website. They're based in Plano, Texas, and is a high-growth oil and gas exploration and production company with a primary focus on acquisition and development of highly profitable domestic oil fields. The company currently holds interest in Texas, where their target or established plays as a premium basins and Eagle Ford shale. And they have three main projects. So the first one here is the Midland Basin, which is a 12,000 gross acres, around 9,600 net acres, 100% of which will be operated. 75% net revenue interest, 19 contiguous sections with a potential of as many as 300 horizontal drilling locations targeting the Wolfcamp A and B information. There, 3 vertical test wells successfully drilled verify horizontal potential. Horizontal drilling are commenced in July 2017. Based on analogs, Midland Basin's EUR potential EURs of around 4 to 6 million barrels per section. Perspective for Leonard and Dean formations providing upside. Wolfcamp ranges from 150 to 350 feet, requiring multiple horizontal legs per bench to fully drain. Potential EURs are over 100,000 BOE per 1,000 foot of lateral. All field services are available within close proximity to the acreage, including oil and gas pipelines, and their well-known Permian Basin's expert geologist, Rich Masterton, and that is a resident geologist of the project. You get some actually pretty cool pictures and different video galleries if you'd like to go ahead and check it out. I find it interesting. I spend a lot of time on construction sites, and this just looks like a bit of a, well, it brings me back. Next, going on towards Orogrande Basins. This is in Hudspeth County. I can't pronounce these names, but this one here is Wolfcamp A and B. This one is Hudspeth County, Texas. Torchlight owns 72.5% working interest in full 134,000 net acre units, targeting 1,300 off primary pay, additional unconventional pay in the Barnett and Woodfords. Conventional pay identifies on approximately 20,000 acres using 2D gravity magnets and well control. Primary unconventional pay zone is Pennsylvania at 55200 to 6100. And the pay zone depth is around 4,000 feet to as deep as 8,000 feet. And oil and high BTU gas, bitumen gas is around 80 to 20 mix expected. And you have lease covers majority of the basins in Texas. You got single drilling and developments on unit agreement on university lands holds an entire block. And if 100,000 acres prove prospective, project would yield 156 sections. Based on the analog Midland Basin EUR, you got around 4 to 6 million barrel per selection. And then the next thing here is recent horizontal well results provide scientific data confirming systems is slightly overpressured, 0.64 pressure gradient compared to normally pressured Midland basins, and they have a geologist on the site, or a basin expert geologist. And you have some actual different pictures and data in there, so it's cool to check out. The next one here is Delaware Basin, which is in Winkler County in Texas, around 1,100 gross acres, around 10.72 WI non-operated. It's Amigo IV operated leasehold with the Richard Masterstone Geologist Project. 75% NRI of the project, and a 10,000 foot lateral can be drilled as well as 5,000 foot laterals. Primary targets, this guy also will from A and B, upper second bone spring and lower second bone spring, overpressured, excellent offset production in Winkler County, and Jag Peak bone spring IP over 3,000 BOEPD. So we got a little bit of there. Now we can go ahead and check a bit more of their news and then towards their presentation. And you'll notice from the last bunch of news that we're getting is that they're paying off debt, they're raising cash. So starting off, Torchlight senior secured lender converts remaining $1.5 million of senior debt. So that was around conversion around 150, and this leaves Torchlight with no term debt remaining on its books. It's debt free. So nada, done. Next, Torchlight announces closing off underwriter public offering of common stocks around 27.6 million at $20 per share. That was already done. They have a lot of cash left. That was through a public offering. $1.6 million debt wiped up on February 1st. On January 26th, $3 million wiped. $4 million of debt wiped on January 28th. On January 25th, they had regained compliance previously above the $1. Torchlight, they also eliminated $4 million of other debt on 22nd. And they had an intent to perform operations received from Hazel project option holder. And they have the option, or I'm just going to read it here. We are pleased that Master Sun has notified this of the intent to continue pursuing efforts in the Hazel assets, stated John. The next steps from here would be to Master Sun to determine if it will exercise the option to purchase the Hazel project by March 31st. So we've covered now everything regarding Torchlight Energy. And the reason I covered that, even though there's the business combination, is from my understanding that Torchlight Energy assets are going to still be there. So in terms of growth, that's why I didn't really go ahead with a growth aspect, because what we're interested in is their massive spinoff with Meta. And what's going to happen here is you're going to have a business combination between TRCH and Meta, or Meta Material. And Meta Material is going to hold 75% of the approximately shares of the company, and TRCH is going to hold 25%. So it really is almost like a buyout for Meta in a sense, but in a way where TRCH is, or almost like a SPAC, but not really. It's a merger. That's what it is. It's a business combination. And I'm just going to read here quickly. Torchlight shareholders on the record will be entitled to receive the preferred stock dividend payable immediately prior to the closing of the transaction that entitles them to the pro rata share of any proceeds resulting from any sales of Torchlight's oil and gas that occurs on the earlier of December 31st, 2021, or 6 months from closing of the transaction. And after such time, if the sales is not completed, they will be entitled to receive a pro rata equity interest in a spin-off entity that holds TRCH remaining hold oil and gas assets, subject to certain conditions. So from my understanding is that a lot of these assets here, well, actually I'm going to go ahead and read it here, and then I can discuss it further. We're very excited to sign a definitive agreement with Meta Material, stated John Breda, Torchlight CEO. We believe that the transaction provides our shareholders with the best opportunity moving forward. Meta Material proves disruptive technology with strong environment, social, and governance priorities. These transactions provide our shareholders with access to multi-billion-dollar markets that Meta Material services and new applications that are being revolutionized with their sustainable technology, while still allowing our shareholders at closing of the transaction to participate in the proceeds of our oil and gas divestitures. So Meta Management, led by George Palricas, he's built an amazing company, all that stuff. I'm excited to work with them. They always wanted to be listed on NASDAQ, etc., etc. Transaction summary. The following is a summary of key terms pending for the business combination. Of course, there's also going to be Canadian court approval that is required, and approval by shareholders of both companies. There can be no assurance that the transaction will be consummated, but the deal terms are as follows. So there we go, 25% for TRCH, 75% for Meta. Prior to closing, Torchlight must raise gross proceeds of at least $10 million through issuance of common stock or securities convertibles into or exercisable into common stock. So we already have seen a massive amount of offerings that we've seen previously, and I did show them through in a video, so that's fine. Prior to closing, all debt of Torchlight is to be converted to common stock or repaid in full. And we already seen that is the case, and that's a big part of where I covered that, is that we have debt-free. We have enough cash there as well. Meta Material shareholders may elect to receive either shares of Torchlight's common stock or shares of a Canadian subsidiary of Torchlight, which will be exchanged into Torchlight's common stock. Holders of the exchange will be entitled to cast votes on matter for which holders of Torchlight common stock are entitled to vote, and will be entitled to receive dividends that are economically equivalent to the dividend declared by Torchlight with respect to its common stock. General stuff there. TRCH will declare a dividend preferred stock prior to the closing date. We already know that. The combined company, formerly known as Torchlight Energy Resources, will change its name to and focus its business to align with the current business of Meta Material. So I expect massive sales from all their assets from TRCH, as previously I did mention, and a lot of that proceeds will go ahead towards cash. So it honestly feels like TRCH is being fully dissolved from oil and gas, and it's diversifying that from an oil and gas play into something more exciting. And I'll cover a bit more on what Meta is. Following the closing of the transaction, the board of directors of the combined company will be comprised of 7 members, one of whom which is appointed by Torchlight. A second will be jointly appointed by Metamaterial and Torchlight, and the 5 remaining will be appointed by Metamaterial. So really, Torchlight has perhaps a say in 2 out of the 7 board members. Makes sense, 25% off the entire equity there. Metamaterial CEO is going to be the new CEO of the combined company, along with the appointed of their CFO. Torchlight management will remain in an advisory role, focused on winding down Torchlight's legacy business and maximizing the value obtained from diverse features of Torchlight's oil and gas assets. So all that oil and gas assets I showed you is just a bit of more perspective on what they're selling, not what they're going to have in the years to come. They're going to be selling that. Torchlight will loan Metamaterial an additional $500,000 in exchange for unsecured promissory note in substantially the same form as 8% unsecured convertible promissory note that the evidence of Torchlight's to Metamaterial of $500,000 on September 20th. Upon closing, the 2 bridge loans, including the aggregate principal and the unpaid interest, are to be included and credited against the $10 million pre-closing financing described above. Certain stockholders of each Torchlight and Metamaterials have executed customary voting and support agreement pursuant to which persons representing approximately 16% of Torchlight and approximately 48% of Metamaterial outstanding voting power have agreed to vote in favor of the transaction, subject to customary applicants. So here's where numbers get a little bit off, right? So you got 16% of Torchlight and approximately 48% of the outstanding voting power has agreed. And it's expected that that number would continue to increase there because it's basically just an executed customary support, and there is a support agreement towards that, and you can expect that this one actually goes through. And I don't see why TRCH wouldn't go through. Oil and gas is a really tough industry to continue on, especially if you're bullish about EV and the future industry. So really what they've done was, instead of, for instance, declaring bankruptcy or later on having issues with that, they really wind it down and try to move with Meta. And moving on, they did execute 500,000 notes we were just talking about in there. And next is their conference. So if you haven't watched their conference, before I go on their website, it's pretty actually interesting to see. And I think actually, let me go on towards their website first, and then we'll go towards the conference webinar so I can explain a little bit and you get a little bit perspective on what they do. And Meta is basically, in short, they're mastering light. That kind of sums it up. And in a sense, they have different technologies manipulating light into a nano level, which is pretty scientific fiction in general coming into reality. So one of their products is NanoWeb. NanoWeb is a transparent conductor made of invisible metal mesh that can be fabricated onto any glasses or plastic surface. It offers a superior alternative to ITOs and silver nanoware AGNWs, graphene and carbon nanotubes, among other ITOs alternative technology. And you get to see here, this is actually how it looks like. It's invisible to the human eye. The next thing is Meta Optics, which is a high-performance, completely priced holographic optical components available direct via their online store. And basically for this one, they have a number of advantages for their optical designs. And it's wavelength selective to angle specific with high transparency, high diffraction efficiency, thin, under 100 micrometers thick, lightweight, complex, and multiple optical functions, ready for integration. Meta Optics holographic film notch filters. Yeah, this is a little bit of representation of their technology there. And then the next one is Meta Air, which is Meta Air really gives me a little bit of perspective. It's kind of a cool design. It's an ultimate aviation laser glare protection eyewear. So it's more for protection towards lasers. I can't remember what technology it works through, but there is actually a presentation. There is this technology there. Yep, it's right there. It kind of almost escaped me. But the technology there really focuses on, I'm just going to read it here, on defensive against harmful and dangerous lasers. This new eyewear Meta Air has engineered and tested by top in the industry, etc. So go ahead, check it out. It's pretty much a cool technology there. And so this gives you a little bit of perspective on some of the Meta products. Now, moving on towards their presentation here. And unfortunately, these slides aren't the best here, but that's the actual version I was able to get my hands on. And some of Meta Visions here, there's actually a slide right before then. Okay, there we go. And some of their actual current missions is to make every product smarter and sustainable by utilizing light and advanced material. Through watching this one here, some of the things they actually focus on is specific engineering projects and engineering solutions that fuel, and the profit out of there goes towards their R&D, towards the next product. And then you have also Meta enables the value chain as an innovative catalyst, AI design and software different solutions, and that those are specific towards your engineering, specific engineering designs. And then as well, going on to large area non-patterning, and they have assembled a team of experts there for a lot of different solutions, whether it's specific engineering solutions or their general product that they're working on. And going on a little bit back, some of their customers, right on here, Mazda, Samsung, ABIT, Calitech, and a lot of different companies here as well. So that is some of their OEM partners. Technology platform, they have material informatics design platform, so that's for nano patterning. And also they have also scalable products. Their competitive advantage is that the order of magnitudes reduced by development and production costs, roll-to-roll production capable, high performance solutions, mass customizable design, and sustainable products. Moving on. I think there's a couple of slides. Yep, there we go. The global market opportunity for this one. You look at 2021, currently the market opportunity is around $1 billion. You're looking at $4.2 billion by 2025. And that is the Financial Times listed breakthrough. The Metamatics is in the 50 ideas to change the world. The Antech Research listed Meta in the top 6 companies that will shape the industry. And in the global optics segment, USA, Canada, Japan, China, and Europe will drive an estimated of 47.1 CAGR. And you see that growth right on here. Now, I believe there's nothing here to cover other than just this here. The consumer electronics example applications, and that has over $3 billion of total addressable market. You have either the EMI shielding, which is in electromagnetic waves, such as microwaves, potential for 100,000 to 40 million units per annum, which is $100 per unit. And in the late stages discussing major suppliers, they have 40% off the global unit supply. That's for basically the major suppliers cover 40% off the global unit supply. The augmented reality, which is smart eyewear displays, specialty optics, and potential for 1.5 million units by 2025, with major supplier of 20% off the global unit supply. And you got the communications, which is invisible antennas for 5G optimization on buildings, cars, and smartphones. Foldable displays for the next generation of phones, and a discussion with multiple OEM and Tier 1 companies. So this kind of covers a little bit of a perspective onto Meta. Now, we're going to move on forward to institutional buyers now. Now, institutional buyers, that's something of interest for me. Institutional buyers, Iconic Ventures, it looks like they might have taken a position here. It shows 0% on the 11th. It's not clear, but institutional buyers seem to be adding on. The majority of them are adding on with specific cases where people are selling their shares. So SquarePoint has around 15,000 now. You're looking into different companies like GeoCapital. Looks like they have around 400,000 shares. LPC Capital has increased their shares to around 200,000. Vanguard has around 3 million, and that's all in February. BlackRock here seems to have around or almost 1 million shares. So you get to see there is a little bit of addition, a little bit of selling, a lot of activity happening in 2021. I mean, all these are in 2021, except from this line onwards. And so it's a almost 3 times of institutional activity in 2021 over 2020. And so that as well has steered a little bit of a bullish sentiment with retail investors. Next is McCabe Greg has purchased around 1 million shares. That was all the way back in 22nd of December 2020 at 46 cents per share. So all that is amazing. I would look at the financials, but it looks like their books are going to change a lot because they're debt-free now. And I'm interested to see the next ones. I'm not going to judge them on the previous ones just because they're on a clean slate right now. So it's quite interesting what they're going to have for us next going on. Now, before moving forward, if you would like to join our Discord, it's a free chat room. Please feel free to do so. It's in the description below. And please make sure to subscribe and leave notifications on. It helps my channel a lot. Now, TRCH, on a 1-week perspective, 10 SMAs above 30 EMA, bullish. The trading action zone where positive reversals are likely, 151 to 101. So that's your kind of area where you can expect positive reversals if it does dip within there. The 200 SMA is below is above 50 SMA, that's bearish, but the 50 SMA is curving up, which is bullish. So moving averages generally are trending towards the bullish side on a 1 week perspective. The 80x here is above 50, and that's where you start expecting reversals, and you get to see from 483 to 307. Well, that looks like a reversal in my book. William percent R, you get to see that this one here is seeing a bit of a pullback here towards the neutral and out of the overbought section. MACD looks strong, and so does momentum. Now, on a 1 day perspective, we get to see that the MACD is actually retracting here, attempting to go towards a bit of an accumulation phase or a negative reversal phase. The momentum looks like it retracted from where it was at 280 to around 132. 80x is actually below 50, and that's a good thing right now, because above 50, around that 74, 70 region, or above 50 region generally, you start seeing pullbacks. William percent R is sitting in neutral, and the moving average, you get to see the moving average itself, the 15 to 10 SMA and the 30 EMA, 268 to 206, that's your positive trading action zone where positive reversals are likely. 50 SMA is above the 200 SMA, and that's an amazing thing here. Now, on a 2-hour perspective, we get to see that the moving averages are all turning sloppy. We're more looking towards a bearish or pullback accumulation zone. The entire trend is going a little bit downwards, but a 2-hour perspective isn't much of a concern right now, because if it really depends on what happens next, because all the moving averages are all touching. The MACD is attempting to see a positive reversal. William percent R is neutral. 80x shows the potential of another trend forming, and the momentum looks like it's being a little bit sloppy. Now, on stochastic fast and stochastic slow, you get to see that you might actually see a bit of a pullback here further. They're both pinpointing a little bit downwards, and we can expect that reversal to occur. Moving average band. 243 in the top, 221 in the middle, and 199 in the bottom. Now, it is possible they drop down there, but still the moving average band generally is increasing, and that's a good thing. Fibonacci retracement shows a significant support at the 306, 252, 197, and 130. Significant resistances at 384 and 483. Now, just quickly on a price line action, we get to see that there is currently support sitting at the 299. Below there, you're looking at 273, 253, 240, looking at 225, 181, and then going all the way down to 154. Significant resistances. Looking at 344, 367, 394, and 415. Now, you can go back even further and say, well, okay, around the 206, whoops, I messed things up. Around the 206, you might say, well, there is as well a support there, and you're right, around the 204, 206, and then the 180, and then down to the 158, 131, 87, and 77. Now it comes to the question to, well, what kind of pattern are you seeing? Well, I'm seeing here a bull flag, which is interesting, although you get to see as well a downtrend here that is in a channel. It's playing in a channel, so if we were to go, let's say, on the 2-hour, I think that was actually seen better. You go down towards the channel. You get to see this kind of trend going downwards, which is technically a bull flag, but it also could be just a continuation of a downtrend channel. Now, on the other side, so this is a bull flag that we're seeing, which is very bullish. On the other side, we need to be very careful into what support levels we're not hitting. I think the 277 is a very, very strong point where you don't want to see below there. Another one is around 221. So that's that. We can go ahead and as well check the trend line that was formed somewhere around here, and you get to see that's still playing through. So you can also say that you might have actually an ascending triangle situation, where if it does break this trend line or break the bottom trend line, whatever direction, if it does break either, it will give you an indication to the next move. Now it comes to the question to Ed, what do you think about this one? I definitely think that this one is probably going to accumulate above $2 to the 181 range. There is expectations that that kind of merger combinations would go through sometime by March. Now, it's not confirmed 100%, but it's very, very likely that it goes through with the Meta business combinations. Now, it was previously oil in play. Currently, it is not oil in play. There's been a lot of changes there. They're diversifying their business, and I definitely think that their previous history off the chart doesn't really tell us much, because you're treating it as a new company, as a new merger. They're completely spinning off. And so what I think is this is one of these companies that don't have a lot of attention. And what's probably going to happen is it's going to start accumulating around that range. You're going to give it time to accumulate, but it's definitely one of these stocks that I see hitting around $10 or so within the next few years. Now, how close it is, I'm not exactly sure. But if you're investing in this one, I definitely do like the idea of Meta and what they have in there. It is a little bit of a risky investment generally, just because you needed things to settle down a little and leave, and you want the traders to leave the stock for investing. But if you're trading, I think there is another room for growth for this one, and we probably might even see $5. That is a very risky play, but it can be very profitable. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe, leave notifications on, and have a wonderful day.